Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the special meeting for the Nash County Board of Commissioners to order at this time. And it's customary for our board to start all of our meetings with a prayer by our commissioner. You're welcome to stand and join us in that prayer. You're welcome to use this time to have your own prayer, or you're welcome to use this as a moment of silence, whichever you prefer. And after the prayer, we always have a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I would ask Mr. Commissioner Outlaw to lead us in that, and at this time, I'd ask Commissioner Wells if she would lead us in the invocation. Thank you.
Let us pray. Our Father, we come together today. We come together probably, Lord, as a diverse group. But God, in this diverse group, we all have one thing in common. We all want what's best for Nash County. We want what's best for our citizens. Just ask you to be with us as we go through this meeting. And sometimes, Lord, we know that things don't look the way that we want them to, but God, in your time, we know that they will work out. Just be with each one of us today. Be with each one that's here. Thank them so much for coming, Lord, and having an interest in what's going on. Just God bless each home that's represented and keep us close to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Wells and Commissioner Outlaw. Purpose of this special meeting, and I'm told by my clerk, or our clerk, that I can only discuss items that were in the published agenda for the special meeting, and that would be a report from the commissioners as it relates to the situation of our Nash County Detention Center. And at this time, I would like to give you that report, if I may. Again, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My mother-in-law, who's a pretty spiritual lady, sent me a note over the weekend. She knew I had worked quite a bit to prepare myself this morning. And it's very short, and it's something that this board practices at all times. And it simply says, before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. The 3 gates are, is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Again, our board always operates in this manner, I think. I'm very pleased to say I think we do a great job of passing through the 3 gates. And I would encourage everyone to put what you're getting ready to say before this test, before speaking. The purpose of today's call meeting, as I said, is to put the board's position out in the public. We have been pretty low-key about the detention center up to this point, and it was my choice to do that. I like to operate in a back room, kind of in a vacuum. I don't like to be out front. I don't feel comfortable doing it. But my board directed me last week that we had to, I guess you would say, go on the offense on this matter. And we're here this morning to do exactly that. Commissioners met last Thursday afternoon in an emergency call meeting to discuss with the county attorney to the letter dated December 18th from Steve Lewis with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Today's special call meeting has one item stated on the agenda, as I said, to state this board's stance on the Nash County Detention Center. The first thing that needs to be understood is this board is 100% together on where we stand and what I will be discussing here today. And I will repeat, we are 100% together. We're together with our administration. We're together with our manager, our assistant manager, our facility director, and our county engineer. I do want to make it very public that our maintenance staff has done a fantastic job this last year under very difficult stances, and our board thanks them tremendously. And at this time, I'd like for our board to give a show of hands for this maintenance staff. History of the Nash County Detention Center. The existing facility consists of buildings constructed in 1978, 1991, and 1997, and when properly maintained, has the capacity to house 295 inmates, 259 male and 36 females. As with any facility, ongoing maintenance and repairs are needed and will always be needed. Given the age and the use of these buildings, they are in good shape. Inspections. All jails in North Carolina, and there are 100 plus, receive 2 annually unannounced inspections. I've been a commissioner myself for 18 years. That means I've been here through 36 inspections. And up until 2019, we had never, and I repeat, never, had a bad inspection. I had checked with the 2 living former sheriffs that we have, and they state they had very little issues with the Nash County Detention Center during their term in office. No sitting commissioner has ever heard about any jail issues until late 2018. Some of these commissioners have been here 25 years plus. All total, we've got 102 years experience as commissioners to Nash County. The May 2019 inspection was the first sign of trouble. In that particular inspection, which is unannounced, we had many items on there. I will say I, as a contractor, took that inspection and went through it thoroughly because I get a copy of it directly from the state. And in that inspection, we had 8% that were facility related, and we had 92% that was operations related. In 2019, in December, we had our second inspection, which was just a couple of weeks ago. That was also unannounced. In that inspection, we had 32% facility problems, and we had 68% operational problems. Let me explain the difference between facilities and operations. Facilities are under the charge of the administration, the maintenance staff of Nash County, as well as the Board of Commissioners. The operational part, Board of Commissioners do not have anything, and I repeat, anything to do with it. It falls under the office of the sheriff. Of course, we've always got to work together in anything that we do. The issues that we see this morning with our detention center is a changing in the inmates that we house here. When I say changing, certainly the drugs, the gangs, we've heard our sheriff say many times, has caused us issues that we didn't have in the past. We might have had some, but nothing to the degree that we have today. I hope I serve on this board at the time, as well as the rest of my colleagues, that this particular issue improves tremendously. Because we have a larger degree of more troublesome inmates, we have a classification problem with our inmates. Classification means you got to keep them separated, and this board understands that's the biggest problem we have with our facility. Facilities are an issue, but I promise you this morning, because I've got the backing of this board, that we will take care of our facility issues. We will take care of them in a timely manner, like we've always done, and we will continue to do what we can to work with the Office of the Sheriff to help him in any way with the operational problems of our facility. Another problem we have is staff shortage. We haven't had a full staff all year. Of course, that comes under operations, but again, this board is here to help in any way we can. I think the real problem we have, and I'll use a phrase my Vice Chair, Wayne Outlaw, uses many times, is attention to detail. I know his career, as well as Ms. Richardson, was in a industry, that pharmaceutical industry, if you didn't pay attention to details, you wouldn't stay open long. I think Mr. Outlaw said that fairly recently. And here we are today, wondering if we're gonna stay open long-term. So we've got to get back to attention to details. To do that, another item Commissioner Outlaw has said many times is that we've got to have a checklist on everything we do that makes us accountable. I hope that we are establishing those checklists. I know we have done it in facilities. I hope we're doing it in operations as well. Again, that is not under the control of the commissioners. We can only ask and we can only beg. And I'm willing to do both. I hear frequently that we are underfunding the sheriff's department. I'm here today to tell you that is just not accurate. The sheriff office for the last 5 years has had the largest percent of increase of any department or office in the county of Nash. I will say the largest increase each budget year. A real issue, of course, with this board is the letter that we received on December the 18th. I think all the media has seen that letter, got a copy of it. If you don't, we'll be glad to provide you with one today. You can see our clerk when this meeting is over. The thing that bothered me most when we had a discussion with the state about this is we found out this is the first time any of the 100 counties in the state of North Carolina have gotten a letter like this. That's very disturbing to me. It's very disturbing to our board. What that letter says, basically, we've got to find somewhere to put, we've got 50 inmates outside of our jail now, we got to find somewhere to put another 100 plus. And that it's got to be a real strain on the operations of the sheriff's department. We can keep 56 if we do what the letter said we could do. And of course, we can return them all if we do what the directive is. And that basically means put all your attention to the details. I want you to understand that we would very much like to help the sheriff more than we can. But the sheriff's office, or the office of the sheriff, is pretty much like our school board. There's only so much a board can do. We have a statute that dictates how we must operate with our office of the sheriff. We have to follow this because it is statute. It is very clear what we can assist with, what we can demand, and believe me, that's not much. We can only ask for. And we will continue, have been, and we will continue asking for some of the things that I will be outlining here this morning. In our opinion, we have a real culture problem in the detention center at this time with our employees. It may be the worst that I've experienced in my 50 years of business. I don't know why. I'm not here today to put blame on it, but I know we have some severe culture problems. And when I say culture problems, I mean we have employees that are not bought into what they're paid to do. We have employees that are not comfortable with the job that they do. It hasn't always been that way, and I'm not sure why it's that way today. It would take a lot of work for us to turn this around. It would take buy-in from everybody in the administration, this board, as well as the office of the sheriff. But we are here this morning willing and able, and certainly would like to help in that process. The thing that bothers me a lot is in Nash County, we don't have this problem in any other office or department. We have an excellent workforce led by the state's greatest collection of department head and administrative staff, and I mean that. I don't think you'll find another county in the state that has a better administrative staff or overall department heads than what we have here. And believe me, we have a great sheriff in Nash County, personal friend of mine. Been challenging at times of late, but still a personal friend of mine, and I want to help him any way I can, and this board wishes to do the same thing. So I hope we can lock hands moving forward and do what it takes to get us off the radar of the state of North Carolina with the issues of our jail. I know traveling, and I'm not here to get off track, but many times I get approached throughout the state about issues we have in our city here, Rocky Mount, and I hope that will eventually get better. But as of late, I've had a few comments, and not many, about the condition of our detention center as I travel throughout the state. Those problems need to be looked after at home. They don't need to be all over the state of North Carolina. The cost of moving these inmates is what bothers this board the most. We work hard every day, and our administrative staff from top to bottom works hard every day to look after the money that we get from our citizens, our taxpayers in North Carolina. That's our number one goal, is to maintain the tax rate that we have. We have been successful 10 years, this will be our 11th year, and we intend to be successful for the next 10 more years. Be somebody else doing it, other than some of us on the board, including myself, but in maintaining the tax rate that we have now, and we can do it by simply budgeting like we should and attention to details. Mr. Outlaw, I hope you didn't patent that statement. I will continue to use it quite a few times. But just to go over the cost of moving these extra inmates, it amounts to $11,000 a day. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you say weeks, $77,000, when you say a month, $340,000, and when you say a year, $4.1 million, it becomes a burden on this county very quickly. It will have a direct effect on the Office of the Sheriff's budget moving forward, because that's where the money should come from. It will have an effect on the Office of the Sheriff's budget for next year. And it will, if it goes on very long, have an effect on the overall budget and the tax rate for Natchez County. And that includes money that we should be putting to our children in our schools, and it should also include money that we should be able to give our employees in future raises for the job they do for Natchez County. That's why it concerns this board tremendously, is it will affect how we can move forward and what we want to do for our citizens by maintaining the tax rate, what we can do for our schools, and what we can do for our employees. Very important points to each one of us. I'd like to go over the commissioner's work to date on this matter. In January of 2019, because I realized that the relationship between our Office of the Sheriff and our administration was being tested quite a bit, and things in my time have just run so smooth over here, I took it pretty much to heart. I made some mistakes myself as chairman. The first thing I did was establish a committee of Lou Richardson, and thank you, Mr. Richardson, for serving, Wayne Outlaw as our vice chair, and myself in January. And the purpose of that committee was to take the requests we were getting or anything that came out of the Office of the Sheriff to the manager and sit down and discuss it with the manager prior to us making any decision or responding to them. I felt like the relationship between the manager and the sheriff at that time was deteriorating somewhat, even though they are both very good, responsible people. So I used it as a tactic to try to smooth things over some. We did that for about 2 months. Sheriff would give a request to the manager would bring it to the committee, we'd sit and talk about it, we would render our decision, and then the manager would report back to the sheriff. It had a little bit of success, but quite frankly, it didn't work the best in the world. Our board had a little concern about it because maybe they weren't getting, the other 4 members weren't getting a full take on what was going on. I'm not sure why it didn't work. I thought it was a good idea, but history has shown me it wasn't the best idea in the world. We kind of stopped that probably in the March range, And in April, I asked the sheriff, which he greatly was glad to do, to come and meet with each one of the commissioners. We did that over a 2 or 3 hour period one day in groups that we were allowed by statute to meet, which means there were no more than 3 of us in the room at any given time. And those meetings, though they informed the board, I think, of where we stood with the disconnect between what the sheriff thought we needed in the detention center and what the board felt like we could afford in the detention center, helped a little bit, maybe. It helped them understand. After that, we kind of dropped the committee concept moving forward, and in about the May range, what we started doing was the facility director, Mr. Lamb, and myself would meet with the sheriff about every 10 to 14 days. And we would sit there in the conference room for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we would just basically had a roundtable discussion with the sheriff and whoever he brought with him on the staff of the detention center, and try to get the things that were needed on track. And we had quite a bit of success with that. I don't know how many times we met total, about every 2 weeks, and we did that from sometime in April up till about the end of October. Many things were accomplished during that period of time. Many positive things happened. We let a contract to fix the exercise yard, which had been on the news so much. We fixed a lot of doors. We took a bid process on the additional cameras that needed ordering and put in facilities, in the facility itself. We have now placed the order for that. And believe me, it just takes a long time for government to do anything. It drives me nuts coming out of private practice and doing construction work. It's just mind-boggling what it takes. But once we got at the price that we could afford, or actually it was the best system anyway, then we had to have it designed, and then we had to give it to the state. Well, it was with the state for probably, Jonathan, 2 months, I guess, it seems like. And we did finally get approved last Friday when they were down here, or last Thursday, permission to proceed with that camera contract. And I'm sure we have done that by now. Excuse me. We have replaced and will be replacing a lot of lights in the dorm. We have completely renovated dorms 1, 2, and 3. We are now working on dorms 4 and 5, and we will continue working on upgrading locks throughout the facility. And I hope the Office of the Sheriff thinks that those meetings were productive. We haven't met right lately because it kind of has turned into almost a crisis center. But this board, as well as myself, are willing to do what it takes to keep it moving. As it relates to shortage of staff, we suggested from the board that we should look into starting a detention officer class at Nash Community College. We had a similar problem 3 or 4 years ago with our 911 operators. We were short. We were losing them to other areas. And we started a class, and believe me, it helped tremendously. What I did see was we were using it, but the counties around us were using it also, but that's okay. That's what community colleges are about. I'm not sure if much movement's been done to that suggestion. It appears to me maybe not too much, but I sincerely believe if we would just work with our community college, we could find the people to work in that facility and have proper training for them. I understand that our manager's office, as well as the human HR department, offered to do a job fair. You hear about job fairs all the time, and you always have a tremendous amount of people show up. But to date, that hasn't happened. That suggestion has not taken its foothold as well. I certainly, again, encourage the Office of the Sheriff to look into those two things. Our Board of Commissioners also offered to hire at our expense, not the Office of the Sheriff's expense, correctional officers to work in our jail from someone like Correction Corporation of America until we got our staff filled. That offer was rejected, and I really don't understand that, because that was an offer that we were willing to pay for, and if it indeed is shortage of staff, we've got to solve that problem. What we have also done recently is we have, and this is just the beginning, we have acted on 2 budget amendments in the last month. We've moved $135,000 out of various line items in the Office of the Sheriff to cover these adult detention costs in other facilities. Just last week, we moved $232,000 from lapsed salaries in the sheriff's office, which is a total of $367,000. That will get us up to maybe mid-January, the 1st of February at the rate that we are going. But budget amendments will be coming every month, I'm afraid, because we've got to cover that cost. This morning, I also want to direct our manager and our finance officer to look at everything that is spent and only process essential items, not to approve any non-essential items in our Office of the Sheriff moving forward. I'd like to ask the manager, if he has the authority, and I'm not sure where he does or not, that he and the finance director sign off on all purchases in the sheriff's office, because we've got to find the money to pay this with without it coming from the taxpayers of Nash County. I'm also very pleased to say that the commissioners have retained the services of Mosley and Associates from Richmond, Virginia, to do a full assessment and make recommendations of what improvements or additions that are needed in our detention center. Mosley Group does about 85% of all the jails in North Carolina. It's also the same firm that we use to do our courthouse addition, which turned out very successfully. I'd ask you to take a look at it from those that are y'all come in from out of town as you leave today. I know we've got the right consultant hired. We will be looking at what we need to do to improve the existing facility as well as an addition that we may need. And the sole purpose of what we feel, even though we're going to wait on their report, is that we need to have ability, as the sheriff has told me many times, to lock down these inmates that are causing the issues in our jail. We will get that done as fast as North Carolina statute will allow us to do it. Once we get the report back, we'll prepare to fund what the report indicates and move forward with it. But it does not happen overnight. It will be at least a 2-year process, I'm sad to say. Commissioners last year at the last moment, and I think this may be the first time the commissioners have alienated our manager a little bit, asked to have $500,000, $500,000 put in the budget this year at the last moment after he had balanced his budget for any jail improvement needs that would come up moving forward. We also had approved about $120,000 for plumbing repairs to the jail already, and to date, out of that fund, we have spent $347,848. So I will tell you, we have been working diligently on the facility side of the detention center. In closing, this morning, I want to give a statement from our board. The notes that I have taken from each board member, and I hope I've covered them all because I asked all of them to comment on where we were, is, number one, we will not be constructing a new jail in Nash County. We do not have any desire on this Board of Commissioners to house federal inmates in our Nash County jail or any other inmates that are not statutorily required for us to house. We stand ready to implement and fund what the Mosley study finds after a full review by all parties on renovations or addition. And I'll say a full review that includes this board, it includes our facility staff, and it includes the office of the sheriff and anyone that the office of the sheriff wishes to have involved in this process. I hope we reach a consensus on what we'll be doing very quickly so we can get it started. But again, we stand ready to implement and fund what this study comes up with. In the future, we will have an item, and Madam Clerk, if you will note this, near the beginning of our monthly meetings, hopefully before public hearings, but I'm not sure what the statute says about that, to get an update for the public for our facility director on the facility side of the operations center. That will be each monthly meeting. It's at 9 o'clock in the mornings. In accordance with General Statute 153A-104 reports, we request the elected sheriff at this time to also be present to give an update on the operational side of the detention center. We will request that this presentation be given by the elected sheriff each first Monday in the month that we meet. We also, I will be personally getting in touch with the state of North Carolina, and I will ask them, unless again something in the statute stops me from doing that, to begin doing a monthly inspection of our jail like they did back in December. We're going to offer that we will pay for this additional inspections moving forward out of the county funds if we need to. I will be contacting Mr. Lewis about that sometime today. Again, we will want to do this at least through 2020. I will state again that we have asked the county manager to freeze all non-essential budget items in the office of the sheriff's budget under the categories of detention center and sheriff. The court security will remain as is except for as it relates to lapse salaries. I will tell you, this problem is very fixable. It's not a difficult thing to fix. I want to share with you some notes I brought with me from 2017, only 2 years ago. When we had our inspection, our first inspection in 2017, I got the letter like I always do, just highlighting a couple of things that the inspection said. It said the deficiencies noted in the inspections are of the kind that are normal to the operation of the facility. Every day our supervisors notify the administrators of any repairs that are issued. And this came from the jail administrator, Captain C.W. Moore at that time. These issues are given to the detention maintenance officer and county maintenance personnel. These repairs that arise are corrected immediately. Repairs that require outside services by an outside contractor are scheduled immediately. That's where we were in 2017. I also want to read a couple of emails that I found on the computer that came from the same Mr. Moore, who was the administrator at that time. Just one statement. He said the jail inspector came yesterday and was most pleased in what he saw. He stated that the Nash County Sheriff's Office now has one of the best kept jails in the area. We only got gig for, I'm not sure what the word gig means, but we only got gig for the following 4 items. And they were very minor in nature. They were 2 facilities and they were 2 operations. And they were all fixed within 7 days, and the report was filed back to the state. So that's where we got to get back to, all of us, to where we were in 2017, when we had our jail inspection then. I do recall, Sheriff, that you many times mentioned how much we had improved the jail, and we were all proud at that time. I know I was particularly, and I won't say why, but the Sheriff understands why I was very proud. We don't want to have the worst jail in eastern North Carolina. We want to have the best jail in eastern North Carolina. And we can indeed have that if we will work together. I really think that we've got the people employed in Nash County, and I know the sheriff is not going to listen to me with this statement I'm getting ready to make, and I will promise you there's not another sheriff in the 99 other counties that will listen to me either. But I just feel so sincere about this that I think the culture could be fixed in 2 easy moves. If we would take our chief deputy and put him over charge of the correctional center here in Nash County, and if we would return the former captain that we had, Curtis Moore, back to the jail administrator, I think the culture would improve tremendously. I think it would do it quickly. But again, we don't have a part in that, and I apologize for saying it this morning, but it's something that's on my heart and something that I firmly believe. Last, the board request the elected sheriff of Nash County to stop the vast amount of news releases and press conferences concerning our detention center. This is a Nash County issue. It's not a state of North Carolina issue. Our board does not operate in this manner, nor does any other department or office in the state, in the Nash County. And I will simply say, if we can do that, I don't think we'd have the problems that we would have here, that we have here today, if we had practiced that all along. And in closing, I'll just simply say, it is amazing what can be accomplished when no one is concerned over who gets the credit. Think about that. It is amazing what can be accomplished when no one is concerned over who gets the credit. At this time, I'm going to close out. I'm going to ask our other board members if there's anything they wish to add this morning to what I've had to say, and I'd be pleased to hear from any of them at this time.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Belfield.
as I sit here and listen, making the report, 2 things pop out that needs to be done. And that's the county commissioners are responsible for correcting the facilities of what needs to be done. And we pledge to do that. In fact, we will do it. And the other is the administration of the jail. And that's the sheriff's responsibility. But I certainly would urge the sheriff to make sure that the staff that's managing the jail be well-trained on managing it and operating the jail. And we will have one of the best jails in North Carolina if we follow that trend and work together.
Thank you, Mr. Belfield. Any other comments from board members?
I'd like to just
Mr. Outlaw?
briefly speak if I could. I think it's very important for everyone to understand that what our chairman did this morning was at the full direction of this board. He indicated that we are 100% together, and he would be 100% correct in that statement. We've been dealing with this issue for some time, and it is our desire to bring it to some closure that would be acceptable to everyone. He indicated the facility issues. He spoke a little bit about attention to detail, and that is from my background in pharmaceutical manufacturing, and it was my great pleasure and privilege to work with Abbott Laboratories from 1971 until the end of 2002. And Ms. Richardson may very well remember when I started at Abbott, they were coming up from a shutdown situation. Not very much unlike what we're looking at here today. In my 31-plus years at Abbott, I had the great pleasure and privilege of working with thousands of fine people. And we were in a facility of 1.4 million square feet. We hired and controlled over 2,500 employees. We daily, a little simple thing like a checklist kept our operation under close control. And that's a simple document, and it's probably computerized now because I've been gone quite a while. But it's just simply a matter of assigning someone to walk around, identify specific things you want to look at those things, and determine are they acceptable or do they need some type of corrective action. And then following up to make sure that that's completed in a timely manner. Now, Ms. Richardson would tell you, like I would tell you, if we were not attentive to the details in that operation, and particularly with those checklist items, then we would not have operated during my time there without interruption. It would have certainly created significant issues for us. But again, Chairman is speaking at our direction. He's communicating what we ask him to communicate. We want to be fully transparent going forward, and that's why we ask for the monthly communication. I hope we can do that. We're going to do what is necessary to correct the facility items, and it is my hope and my desire, and I don't know what we can do, but we'll do whatever we can do to assist with operational issues. Now, I want to highlight one thing that the chairman mentioned. The chairman said that we are willing to put what I would call contract detention officers in the jail until the hiring situation can be rectified. To me, and I'm not the sheriff, I can't make that decision, but if I'm sitting in the jail and I've got a shortage of people and I can't seem to hire those people for whatever reason, I'm going to reach out and take care of whatever help I can get until I can correct that personnel situation. So that's just my opinion on that. But again, we have got a great sheriff. There's no question about that, and we appreciate everything that he does. But quite frankly, I'm hopeful that going forward we can work together in an open setting, in a transparent setting, and address the issues that we've got. And if we do that, then in just a very short period of time, we're going to have this under control. Mr. Chairman, I support what you have said. I appreciate the fact that you've stood up there and you've said it, because it's not an easy spot that you're in this morning. But I want you to know, at least from where I sit, and I believe I speak for this board, that you have our 100% support going forward with what you've communicated this morning.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner Outlaw. Any other comments? Ms. Wells?
Excuse me. I just first want to say, this is not something that we're trying to find fault with our sheriff. We have a good sheriff, and we're going to support our sheriff. It's just that we got to work together, and sometimes we go off in a tandem the other way. Maybe we need to come together if you got a problem. And if it's with Z, you need to come over here, or if Z's got one, and let's put it out instead of letting it fester. But I want you to know that you do have my support.
Thank you, Ms. Wells.
I would like to echo that as well. We are all up here, we want to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and we want to make sure that our public is looked after and is safe, and that the sheriff's office staff working in our detention facility is safe. Those are certainly priorities, and that is why we already have the wheels turning on the improvements project. And we really, really want to work together to get this done. And so whatever we can do, just please communicate that to us.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, that we are working, we've been working, we do what we can, but what I think this board's really interested in is what we get back from Mosley Architects and their suggestions and whatever we have to do. I think we can all agree that we guarantee Nash County that we're gonna have a safe and up-to-date jail with individual cells or whatever we need. We're gonna work together to do that. So, and my biggest problem since I've been on this board, and it just takes too long to get things done. So, we are moving and we will move as quick as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Combs. Ms.
Yes,
Richards.
sir. Thank you very much. I am the last one on the board, I guess, to speak, and as most of you know by now, I guess, is I am not seeking reelection next year. I have given the county over 20 years, and I loved every bit of it, even though it about drove me crazy sometime, but that's what it's all about. It's not about us, it's about what we can do to help somebody else and to make our county grow stronger. But the only way we can do that, we have to talk to people, not at people. So when we talk to people and sit down and understand, if you don't understand, tell them, repeat it again, and work together. That's what it's all about. And it wouldn't be so complicated and so hard. Just work together. I don't agree with them. Just show me how you think it will work, and keep talking about it. It will work. I know that. I've been doing it too long. But anyway, I just hope and pray it's just for the benefit of our people, because, see, I want to feel safe. I want my children, my family to feel safe, and that's what it's all about. And I want those people in the detention center that's got to work, I want them to be safe. But we have to communicate. That's the whole main problem. And I do know it can work, it will work, but we just have to work together. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. At this time, if any member of the media has a question they'd like to ask, I'll be glad to try to take questions at this time and answer them for you, or I will promise you that I will get back with you if there are any questions. Anyone have one? That is wonderful. Either I talked too much or what I said didn't make a lot of sense. I'm not sure which one.
Very good.
Sheriff Stone, would you like to have any comments? You're welcome to, sir, but I'm not calling on you to, but if you wish to, I'd be glad to hear from you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here.
For any of the media that does want to come over to the jail to look at the situation that's there, we're more than happy to do that. Several things that I saw, I agree with the comment that Wayne Outlaw made about attention to detail. How many years were you in this business?
31 plus.
And it worked fine. That's where a lot of this issues have come from. I think after this report will be the best time to talk about this. I don't know how we're doing it before a report. I don't know, when is the report supposed to be due?
I understand it will be in February, sir.
February what, do you know?
I don't think we have a specific
Okay,
date.
well, that's probably the better time to
We are
look.
pushing hard to get it.
I understand. I think that's the better time to look and to give a professional opinion of what's going on. I don't know how you can sit there and say we need a new jail, or we don't need a new jail, or we need this or need that. Let the report come out, and I think we can make a very professional decision then, but I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments, I entertain a motion to, excuse me, Mr. Belfield, go ahead, sir.
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with jail, but I just want to make a comment about Commissioner Richardson. She's been a good servant on this board, and after this year, she will not be with us, and I'm sure we will miss her. Very seldom she make comments, but when she does make them, they really count, which tells me that she did a lot of thinking. And when she does make comments, we listen to it. And Commissioner Richardson, we're gonna miss you after next year.
Thank you.
You're not seeking re-election, but I wish you the best.
Thank you. We work together.
Well, on behalf of the chairman, I hope you're going to be back at each meeting for the next year.
Well, I'll keep checking on you. If you're not doing something right, I'll pull the chain on.
You best be here, ma'am.
No
I think
problem.
you will be.
Love you.
Any other comments? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Combs, a second
Second,
by
second.
Mr. Belfield. Any questions on that motion? Before I call for the vote, I wish everyone a happy holiday. I hope you get a chance to spend time with your family. I appreciate those that work with the county, that have to work through the holidays and everything that you do. All in favor of the formal motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? We stand adjourned.